Good morning, everyone. My name is Andy Walker and I'm the Partner Manager for Bytes. Thank you for attending our webinar today. This will focus on data analytics in Microsoft Azure and is designed to show you how Microsoft Azure Cloud offers a low-cost and highly scalable data analytics platform. We at Bytes, as the UK's leading licensed solution provider in the UK, and as such are currently the #1 partner in the UK as measured by Microsoft, and we assist over 40% of all Azure consumption in the UK. To assist Bytes in delivering this success, as Microsoft's #1 cloud partner, we work with a number of highly specially selected partners in our partner ecosystem. They provide specific, focused and highly skilled expertise in areas around the Microsoft cloud. ELASTACLOUD are a lead partner of Bytes, focusing on data in the cloud and are considered thought leaders in everything that is Microsoft Azure. Gary Hunter of ELASTACLOUD will take you through the webinar and will provide a question and answer session at the end of the presentation. Just a couple of housekeeping. You will be muted throughout the webinar. However, you can still submit questions in the box on the right-hand side. The recording will be made available later on in the day, and also if you can please complete the critique form at the end of the webinar. Okay, I would like to now hand you over to Gary, who will introduce ELASTACLOUD.
Good morning, everybody, and thanks very much indeed for taking the time to join us today. Hopefully everybody can see my screen fine. Okay, so areas that we're going to cover today. I'm going to give you an overview of Azure and the Azure roadmap. Going to cover a bit about data compliancy. Obviously, it's always a big question when customers are looking to migrate towards the cloud. Little look at server specifications to give you a flavor of what's available. Talk a bit about clustering, look at scalability for Internet of Things, big hot topic at the moment. We at ELASTACLOUD are getting heavily involved in a number of IoT projects, and then really talk about Power BI, which is Microsoft's data visualization tool, and then look at how we can drive value into your business using predictive analytics, and give you some insight as to customers that we've worked with, that are working with, really some insight into those organizations. Okay, so looking at Azure as a whole, this is taking an enormous amount of focus from Microsoft, and a very significant amount of investment from them. Now, it's actually become one of the top 3 networks in the world, and it's 2.5 times the size of Amazon's AWS platform and 7 times the size of Google. It actually hosts and holds the largest virtual machine in the world, comprising 32 cores, 448 gigs. So we're talking about enormous scalability now. Now, as you can see, the dots that are around on the screen, they're the data centers that are throughout the world. You probably have read about 2 new data centers that have opened in the UK, one which is west of London near Slough, and the other one which is in Wales, very close to Newport. Now, all of these data centers enable you to decide where you want to put your data. So for most of us in the UK, we would want that data in the UK. But it may be that you want data servers dotted throughout the UK, throughout the world, depending on if you're involved in international markets or if you're a global organisation. So the benefit of that really is to reduce latency. Okay, but all of these data centers are fully up and running, and to give you an idea of scale, that they are enormous. If you look around on Google, you will find videos on YouTube that Microsoft have uploaded, which give you some insight into those data centers. But typically, they're the size of 16 football pitches, and most of them, Microsoft actually built their own power plants to support these. So what we really have is we have hyperscale infrastructure that is open to everybody and every organization, whether that's large or small, at very, very low cost. And this is has been a major driver for our business, working with our clients with data analytics. Okay, so compliance and data security is a huge topic. And I think the points we would make to you is that Microsoft have invested enormously in this area. They recognise that security is critical, and actually they've got the largest compliance portfolio in the industry, far wider than Google and far wider than AWS from Amazon. So depending on your own industry and the compliance that you need, it's more than likely that Microsoft has all of the compliance that you need within Azure. If there's any areas that you need to check up on with us, then please, hit us with that as a question or follow up afterwards, and we can investigate and make sure that any compliance needs you have are there. Now, often our customers, when they're beginning their Azure migration, do of course ask us about security. And so I think one of the points that we make is that Microsoft has around about 2,000 people globally who are managing their security. And as organizations move over to the cloud, there's a point that we make that, obviously organizations, perhaps like yourselves, are never going to have that resource available to them to manage security. So what you're getting with Azure is you're getting huge resource investment, and you're really capitalizing on that investment that they have made. Okay, so from a server perspective, you also have a huge wide range depending on your budget, and these range from we'll just give you an overview here. The A series is the original series of servers, which really for many organizations are the lowest cost way of migrating to Azure, and are a great solution. Then the D series gives you better disks, DV2s, better CPUs than the D. The F series, fast CPUs, but they're cheaper. Disk and memory, much like the A series. When we get to the G series, you're getting into very large servers, and the DSV2s, premium storage, and we can go on and on. So you have a wide range of servers depending on what your needs are. You want to be able to use the right technology that you need. So where we can help is we can help you with defining the exact servers within the Azure network that you need. And remember that with Azure, you really pay as you go. So we can turn servers off, turn servers on, turn servers off, and migrate data as your business grows, or if you're working on a specific project, or you're working on development, a staging server, you can turn servers on and turn them off, and migrate applications over different servers. So you have huge scalability with the compute power that is in there. Okay, so as we get into data analytics, later on as I go through the presentation, you'll hear me talk about some of our customers. One is Rolls-Royce, which we'll come on to later. But clustering really allows you to, if you are working with very large amounts of data, you can cluster servers. And using the Microsoft Service Fabric, you can stitch all those clusters together. So you can scale to thousands of machines. So with organizations like Rolls-Royce, who are taking vast amounts of sensor data off of their AERO engines every minute, then they need services like this. And Microsoft's done a fantastic job of building out the infrastructure to enable us to do this. So a little bit about the Internet of Things. Obviously, it's a very big hot topic. You just heard me mention Rolls-Royce. Well, Rolls-Royce are taking sensor data off the engines. We could really define that as an Internet of Things project. All of those engines and sensors are connected. But of course, now what we're seeing with our customers is we're seeing lots and lots of projects where people are thinking about connectivity and how they can get data out of those connected items. Now we can analyze that data and using the depth and the scalability that we have within Azure. So the hardware is cheap comparatively. Connectivity is pervasive now. Development is very, very easy. And we're seeing new innovative scenarios all the time with our customers. So the Azure platform allows us really to have end-to-end and take our data and transform it into intelligent action. Things like the Azure Data Lake allow you to put all of your data centralized in one place and really go fishing once you've done that. Things like Azure Machine Learning, Hadoop is all available, and Stream Analytics, all available for you to do predictive data analytics, to manage your data and apply predictive analytics to it. Okay, so let's have a look at Power BI. Often, many of the conversations we have start with data and start with data visualization. And this is really where Power BI has come in. Now, some of you may well have been using Tableau or Click or one of the other solutions that are on the market, but Power BI has been developed enormously over the last 2 years and has really stolen the march on other organizations like that and has the scalability behind it of Azure. So if we look at business intelligence for everyone, well, if we go back in time, first wave of business intelligence was really IT departments having a need from the end user and really sending technical BI direct to end users, but in a pretty solid format, i.e. data was given by an IT department to an end user and that data could see and could visualize that data but couldn't do a lot with it. But then we get into, as companies are starting to use business intelligence, analysts are pulled into organizations. So really that second wave is again the IT department supplying data to analysts. Now those analysts, instead of seeing the data in just a flat form and not being able to work with it, are beginning to work with that data. And this is where really products like Tableau have pushed this forward, giving more power to the end user. But you'd have to be an analyst to really use those, to use it properly. Now the third wave, and really what Power BI brings to this, is everybody can start utilizing the data and see the data and think about what they want to do with it. Now of course the IT department can govern that data. We're working on projects right now where we're looking at multiple data sets and supplying, and that data is being supplied out to lines of business within organizations, but the data is governed and the data is auditable. So anything that happens with that data could be audited, you can see what's happening with it, you can discover if there's security breaches. But what it does do is it allows the end user, the business area, or areas of the business that want to manipulate and want to do their own further research on the data, it gives them the opportunity to do that, which takes less pressure, it reduces the pressure on the IT department. Instead of a line of business coming to an IT department and asking for a report, strain on the IT department, and then waiting hours, days, or weeks to get that report, by giving the data to selected people within the organization, they can very quickly learn how to write reports and see visualizations. Okay, now with Power BI, data sources, you can connect to pretty much any data source. So as you can see, SaaS solutions like Salesforce, GitHub, you can take data from Google Analytics, you can take data from Oracle, you can take data from your on-premise data in whatever format. There's many other data sets available that Power BI can draw from. Excel files, pretty much anything that you can think of. And then visualization-wise, you can see it via tablet, phone, desktop. The system's designed, Power BI is designed so that your users can use it anywhere. Also includes natural language query. So if somebody wants to query some data, just writing natural language into that search will help them and will enable them to drive into that data and to get exactly what they want out of it without bothering other individuals. Okay, now I mentioned this, so access using mobile applications. You can zoom in and zoom out of visualizations, you can annotate visualizations, take snapshots, share those snapshots. You can also configure alerts. So if you're using real-time data, you may want to see if something is changing. So for example, you may be pulling Google Analytics data into Power BI and you suddenly see that a product isn't selling whereas it was, or you suddenly see that a particular KPI has changed and you want to be able to jump on that immediately. You can do that with Power BI. Okay, so let's have a look at predictive analytics. Okay, so predictive analytics is really all about answering the why question that you have. So the definition is the practice of extracting information from data sets to determine patterns and predict future outcomes. Now it's well perceived these days that predictive analytics will define the difference between losers and winners in the market. Many of us operate in very highly competitive markets, and really understanding more about our customers, being able to predict perhaps lifetime value of customers or the path of our customers through our websites is critically important. Or it may be driving down costs in the business. And this is really where predictive analytics comes in. Okay, now predictive analytics actually is really about forecasting what might happen, not always what will happen. It's all about discovering hidden relationships. Often, until you start working with that data, sometimes you really don't know what you're looking for. But hidden patterns often come out. We see this time and time again with our customers. Once we're pointing customers in a direction and drawing from our experience, they start to realize and start to think about ways that they can drive value into their business if they had certain pieces of data. So it's really looking for hidden relationships. And that can be used to identify potential opportunities for the business and of course risks for the business. And really allows you to move from opinion-based decision making to true data-driven situations, data-driven decisions. Now I would say that at the moment human insight is critical. Okay, to have people looking at that data who understand that data and to really apply the human insight to it is very, very important. Obviously, utopia is where we get to machine learning, really understanding those decisions and being able to make the decisions on your behalf. But what we see with our customers, it's still very important for the experts in the business to look at the data and to really validate it and see what's going on. So we would certainly urge you to do that. Okay, so the top 5 objectives at the moment behind predictive analytics tend to be having operational efficiency within the business, risk discovery and reduction of risk, faster response to business change. You know, we all work in a very fast-moving environment these days. That can enable you to identify new business opportunities. Really increasing the return on your structured and unstructured data assets is all now available. So what data analytics and predictive data analytics is allowing you to do is to get a much closer handle on what the future may look like, and that can be applied through all areas of your business. As we've just said, Power BI is really, predictive analytics is aided so much now by visualization. Now the good thing is, all of us, human beings, are born to perceive meaningful patterns. You know, this is all innate within us, to recognize those patterns, to look for outliers and see structures in everything that we see. Now actually we acquire more information through vision than all of our other senses combined. And it's interesting that 25% of all of our brain's neurons, all the activity is devoted to analysing visual information. I think this really underlines how important visualization is, and now with the tools that we have with Power BI, it makes it very clear to us. Clarity is critically important. So it allows us to make smart decisions quickly, and it's also becoming the norm. When most of us get up in the morning, we're seeing all the time, whether that be on the news. See, we're getting more and more data, and we're used to seeing these things. And individuals within your organisation will be absolutely used to seeing dashboards and seeing data now, whether it be on their smartphones or whether it be on the TV or on their laptops. It's becoming pervasive to see graphical data really in great visualizations. Now, people in business, we're all used to seeing line charts and bar charts and pie charts. We're probably not so used to seeing scatter plots. And scatter plots are used by data sciences, one of the key sort of weapons of choice of a data scientist. Now, just to give you, this is a very, very simple scatter plot, and believe me, there's a lot more advanced ones than this, but this is just giving you a quick view, and this is taken from the Office of National Statistics. So it's looking at the median house price across the UK and the median monthly rent. Now, what you can see there is, what this is doing is looking at clusters, and you can see that there's a big cluster there of houses that are worth around £200,000 and maybe rented about £550. Okay, so scatter plots give, and within ELASTACLOUD we use them all the time. Our data scientists are looking at this type of graph all the time and looking at cohorts and picking out, spotting relationships within that data. Okay, now here's another, again a simple one. Similar data, but this is median house price and median gross annual salary. So you can see the cluster that we've got. And then what we've done here is we've looked at a couple of towns, Blaby and Purbeck, and overlaid those. So you can overlay multiple data sets to look for patterns. Now these are very, very basic ones, but it gives you an idea of new visualizations and what can be used. And as I say, this is a key weapon of choice with data scientists. Okay, so I'd like to move into a case study. Now, unfortunately, we're not allowed to use the name, or we can, but they heavily protect their brand name. We'd have to pay them a very large amount of money to use it, or they want a big discount off of our invoices every month. So we can't use the logo. But major AERO engine manufacturer, whose name is also, their brand name is also associated with very expensive cars. Okay, so now we've been working with this organisation for 3 years now, and this project started as they knew they had data coming off of their engines, and what they wanted to do is to really build out a revenue stream that was all based around fuel efficiency, but also to reduce costs through predictive maintenance. By analysing that data, they can look at what's happening with the engines and compare journeys and predict when spare parts will need to be changed. Those spare parts can be at the airport or wherever the aircraft is going to, and be changed on the ground whilst that aircraft is on the ground, and get it back into the sky as quick as possible. So it reduces costs enormously internally for the organisation. But equally importantly, they've built it into a revenue stream. So the predictive data analytics give predictions over fuel costs for all of the airlines. So this data is sold by the manufacturer to the airlines, and it's a major revenue stream for the company now. So in order to get there, we needed to modernise the technology platform. So ELASTACLOUD sat down, listened to all of their needs, and migrated the organisation over to Azure. So all of the data is now going into Azure. Now we manage that from our office in Derby, which is right outside their campus. We engaged in an agile way, and we actually stood up the data platform extremely quickly. It took us about 14 days to get that up and live. And obviously that then gives us the infinite scale of Azure. Now, I can tell you that, and I was in a meeting last week with the project lead, that is now worth £20 million a year to that organisation. That £20 million is made up of the revenue stream they get from selling the data to the airlines, but also the cost saving that they're making by predicting when and where engines need some work. Okay, some other major success stories in Azure. First two, as you can see, Schiphol Airport and Rockwell Automation. They're very much what we call IoT, i.e. Internet of Things. They have many devices connected to the Internet, and the data is all sitting within Azure, and then analytics are being run over that data. So with Schiphol Airport, they've managed to reduce the downtime for all the critical operational machines, so all the baggage handling equipment and other items they've got within the airports. Same with Rockwell Automation. But I think Adecco is a very interesting one. Adecco, world-leading HR resource business. And one of the issues that they have, if they put a candidate into employment, and that candidate only lasts in that job 3 months or 6 months, then they have to hand back all or part of their fee. What they've done is putting all of their CV data, so much of it unstructured, into Azure, and then running predictive analytics over the top of it, has really has enabled them to make predictions as to whether that candidate will be a good fit, typically culturally. Now, there's a lot of cultural information out there freely available on the internet about organizations. So sites like Glassdoor have this. Then by taking that data and overlaying it into their existing data sets, they've found that they're far more able to predict whether an individual will stay in the job once they're placed. Now that's actually given them a 6% increase in what they call sticky placements. Okay, so that's helped their business enormously, and it's also given them a 30% reduction in time to fill that vacancy. So it shows you where structured and unstructured data can be applied. And these are ideas, various ideas that you can think about within your own organizations. Okay, now data analytics in marketing, it has really become very pervasive. And this slide really just shows lots of different areas of marketing. But predictive analytics has been used typically within search marketing, so Google marketing. And I'll give you a quick example of my background here. So I used to work with an organization that part of its business was a web business, and that organization was spending broadly about £30,000 to £40,000 a month with Google. And we were selling 16,000 different products. At that time, we recognized that there was wastage in that account, or out of the money that we were spending, some of it was wasted. So we started with mapping out our products into a histogram. And a histogram shows you, we took our average margin, and then we mapped all of the products above and below that average margin. Then we focused on the products that were the lowest margin. And of course, the instant thing we looked at is, well, these products, we have maybe 4,000 products, and we're spending £10,000 a month on those products in Google. And the margin that we're getting back from the products is not covering the Google fees. So our instant knee-jerk reaction was, let's turn those products off. Now, but then what we had is we had the insight to really take a step back and think about this. And what we wanted to know was, well, okay, well, is that the right decision? And this is where the insight comes in. We wanted to know was, before we turn all this off, are we really doing the right thing? So then what we did is we mapped those products and we looked at the customers that have bought those products. Now, what became very, very interesting is a subset of those products actually turned out to be extremely important products. Actually, we discovered what our loss leaders were, and they're products that really we made a loss on, but customers who bought those products had greater propensity to go on and buy other high margin products from the company. So it allowed us to really target ourselves down, and instead of taking 4,000 or 5,000 products out of Google, which would have been a mistake, we took maybe 1,000 products out of Google and we optimized our feed. Now these days, data analytics can be used in all aspects of marketing. There's an old marketing adage that you'll hear marketing people say, which is 50% of your marketing doesn't work. The problem is you don't know which 50%. Well, actually, now you really can focus and you can really get return on, you can focus hard on your return on investment and ensure you know that exactly how much money every pound is returning. Okay, and then lastly, we've been working with retailers, okay, to helping them to project future sales on a daily, weekly, annual basis, okay, by looking at past trend analysis. Then what we've taken is climate and meteorological data comprising 9 different data sets going back over the last 150 years. Now this is a fascinating subject because most of us realise that the British weather, European weather, is rather chaotic. However, what we've discovered is by working with climatologists and meteorologists and working on these 9 different sets of data, we can actually give far closer, better predictions on weather than the Met Office. Sounds amazing, but it's true. And we're working with retailers now and supplying them that data and overlaying that data onto their internal product information. We're seeing they're seeing great benefit from that. Then what we've done is taken that data, taken those scatter plots and visualized them within Power BI. And how we visualize those is what we call geospatially. So we have maps in there that the retailers have that have all of their stores and regions and can give them predictive weather 7 days, 14 days and longer term. So right now we're predicting weather for November and December, and that helps those companies enormously, and we're building on this and pushing this into other walks of life, restaurants. You can imagine weather affects all of us enormously. Okay, so you saw this slide earlier. Just to really underline the point, we now have the ability to do all of these predictive analytics at far lower cost than we've ever had been before. Now, the company that I worked with many years ago was Fujitsu, and Fujitsu became a technology partner to Eddie Jordan's Formula One team. Now, I know that the Fujitsu supplied £1 million worth of servers to the Jordan F1 team, and in addition £500,000 worth of personnel, so a £1.5 million investment to get our name on the side of that car. Nowadays, all of that can be done at a fraction of the cost using Azure. Okay, so ELASTACLOUD, well, we're very much predictive analytics specialists. You know, we do what we do because we're passionate about driving that value into our customers' business, and we see it time and time again by analysing the data and applying different data sets, applying data science to that. We can drive value into those businesses. We're the only organisation in the UK that has got 3 Microsoft MVPs, and if you don't know what that is, that's Microsoft Most Valued Professional. And that's a very elite group of individuals that are technology specialists within the Microsoft stack. We also have 2 regional directors. Now that's an even more elite group of individuals. There's about 100 of them globally. That gives us great insight and great connectivity into Microsoft at senior level to understand roadmaps, understand commercially what's happening within Microsoft. And we're the only external partner to be involved with Microsoft in writing their data science degree program. We also run the UK Azure group on behalf of Microsoft. We have regular meetings throughout the country where people can come and learn about Azure. whether it be the fundamentals or whether it be more of a deep dive with Azure, and we'd absolutely welcome you to join that organisation. So I'd like to thank you very much for listening, and I hope you enjoyed it, and if you have any questions, then we'd be delighted to handle those. Thank you.
Thank you, Gary. Just going to have a quick check to see if we do have any questions. Doesn't seem to be any at the minute. If you do have any, please submit them in the box on the right-hand side of the screen. We do actually have Chris Spear on the webinar today, and he is a cloud specialist here at Bytes. Perhaps, Chris, it might be beneficial for the audience for you to maybe just share some of your experiences in the area.
Sure. Thank you, Amy. Thank you, Gary, for an excellent presentation. Hopefully it's been very useful for our audience today to see some of the pieces of the puzzle that you can put together in the Azure Microsoft Cloud to be able to achieve great insight into your data. But quite often it's very difficult for an organisation and individuals within organisations to understand how they can make that jump, because in our experience a lot of organisations are stuck with fairly static reports and trying to bring data together in Excel, which is a very useful tool, but it's very manually intensive, and also does limit you as to what you can achieve without some really elite Excel skills and some additional programming skills. And what a lot of these capabilities that Microsoft have rolled out in the last couple of years, so Power BI and machine learning and big data analytics in the cloud, is relevant for every organization to help them understand what's going on and be able to analyze and predict how they can do things better, whether that's a commercial organization looking to improve revenue or profit or reach, or a government organization trying to improve their service levels and be more cost effective in how they deliver those services. And making the jump can be a little bit difficult for many organizations, but the important thing is that these services are available very, very quickly. So once you decide, I want to give it a go, it can take just a few days to actually get a benefit from using them, and obviously the cost is all pay as you go. So you don't have to invest anything up front apart from a little bit of time and a very small amount of money to give it a go. And I would urge every organization that's listening today to give it a go. Engage myself probably as the first resource via your account manager. Again, cut touch with your account manager at Bytes and ask for a data workshop or just a call initially to go through what you are doing today with your data and your reporting infrastructure, and then we can talk through what you might be able to achieve in a very short space of time together with Bytes and ELASTACLOUD. Amy, are there any other questions at this point?
No, that's it, I think, for everybody. Thank you, Chris. I'm sure it's very helpful to everybody on the webinar today. We'll encourage, if anybody does have any questions at a later point, email tellmemore@bytes.co.uk, or feel free to reach out to your Bytes account manager. There is a short critique form at the end of the webinar, so if you could just fill it in, that would be really, really great. Thank you so much, Gary. Thanks, Chris, and I hope you all have a great day.